Hey everyone, it's Jeff, senior video producer with CinemaBlend, big old geek, and critical dirtbag. As a casual fan of Game of Thrones, I was surprised by the reaction to the finale. Well, I guess any criticism of pop culture these days isn't surprising, but I was taken back by it. Whether it's Game of Thrones, Star Wars, or the DCEU, sometimes it feels impossible to satisfy the masses. It's an ultra-critical culture of fandom that's been created in recent years. I'm just wondering if we've become so cynical that it's impossible to enjoy the things that we once loved. So I'd like to start a conversation about how we consume media and how we suddenly all became expert storytellers, outlined in 3 main points. But first, hit subscribe so you can hear us spout opinions you don't agree with, get mad, and we can continue this vicious cycle that is internet debate. First, I'd like to say that I agree Game of Thrones Season 8 wasn't perfect and it felt a little rushed. My point is that the response to it was a little much. And before I come off as too judgmental, just know that I am one of these cynical people, or I used to be. It was bad for my mental health. I was incredibly picky about what I watched in general, and eventually a friend was like, Jeff, you're a dick. Obviously. And I was told just to enjoy all the things. Just enjoy the things without anger. Just consume all the stuff. And if it's not for you, that's okay. So these days I allow myself to see Michael Bay blockbusters. One can enjoy fine dining and still partake in a basket of diner fries. But if you criticize the fries for not having enough pizzazz, people are gonna be like, yeah, dude, you're at a diner. What'd you expect? This brings me to my first point. One of the main reasons for our cynicism is overwhelming expectation. When you were young, didn't your mom ever tell you not to have high expectations or anticipate things because you'll just be disappointed? No, is that not a normal thing? I mean, you can be excited about a film or television property, but because people have a history with those stories, they have these expectations for exactly how they want it to go down. And believe it or not, I don't think people wanted to be surprised by the Game of Thrones finale. Well, maybe mildly surprised. Take, for example, Avengers Endgame. It was a great film. I enjoyed it. It was reviewed positively. Not everyone's gonna love it, but I think it's fair to say that it was generally well received. This was a satisfying flick. There were no real shockers, no crazy deaths, no surprise twists. All right, maybe 1 or 2. But generally, you received the satisfaction you expected. Game of Thrones, on the other hand, quick warning, we are entering spoiler territory. If you have not seen the finale and you don't want it ruined, get out of here. I don't believe that anyone saw all of this coming, and subconsciously, that's a reason for a lot of the hate. I've covered a lot of Game of Thrones fan theories for this website over the years, and I'm telling you, not once did I come across an article that said all of the following. Bran was destined to become king of the 6 kingdoms. Jon goes back to the Night's Watch. All of our favorite supporting characters are the new small council. Dany goes all mad queen on everyone, and Robb and Aaron gets super hot. Not once. Because you didn't see it coming, and you really don't want your expectations defied all that much. Some people even claim the ending was too satisfying, but was it? I think people generally wanted Dany to rule as a righteous queen, as expected, even though she was pretty shady from the get-go. Trust me, I'm rewatching, and you start to realize she's really ruthless. You wanted something more predictable. You wanted that Marvel ending in a show that prepares you by killing off the main character in season 1, a show that prepares you for disappointment. Over the past few seasons, main characters stopped dying. The show became a little more satisfying. They threw you for a loop, and you're a little afraid to admit it. I think some part of you wanted Dany, Tyrion, and Jon to ride around on the 3 dragons and rule peacefully together. But the ending was disappointing. We didn't quite get the satisfying story that we expected. So in retaliation, we start a petition to reshoot the final season. Come on. This brings me to my next point. That's dramatic. It's almost as if people are more excited to criticize and be angry than they are to watch the series. This isn't the first time that a TV show has ended in a way that disappointed fans, and it certainly won't be the last. There were similar petitions for Star Wars The Last Jedi, which coincidentally also didn't end the way people expected. And I'm not defending Space Leia. I'm just asking if you could really enjoy something that was redone just to satisfy fans. That feels inauthentic. It sounds like a Kathy Bates move.
I think you should light the match, Paul.
I feel like someone's about to break D&D's ankles until they rewrite the final season. And it's just done with such confidence. That's what blows my mind. For example, I remember one reviewer stated that The Last Jedi was an objectively bad film, like it's fact. Just the confidence in pretending that our opinion as fans is the only true currency in this bankrupt world. It's so dramatic. We know you love it, but that doesn't mean you're the ultimate authority on it. And then people will claim that a film or TV show ruined their childhood. Just like the first 3 Star Wars films aren't going anywhere, the first 7 seasons of Game of Thrones also aren't going anywhere. Nothing has been ruined, especially your childhood, although you did make it clear that you could have done a better job, which brings me to my final point. We are not the writers. People will get online and outline how the show should have ended. It's like people forget there's a room full of Golden Globe and Emmy-winning storytellers, as if none of those writers ever considered your idea for a moment. Look, I'm not judging. I've been guilty of it too, many times. For example, I really didn't like Solo: A Star Wars Story. I thought it was hokey nonsense, and I found myself constantly saying they should have done this differently. But the truth is that a lot of people love that film, and maybe slightly hokey was the tone they were going for. Maybe those are the Star Wars fans they were trying to appeal to. Now, am I gonna get online and tell Academy Award winner Ron Howard how to do his job? Of course not. It's done. It's just a film I didn't like. Getting online and explaining how it should have gone down is like going to an art gallery and saying, you know, this piece is pretty good, but it could have used more green. What are you talking about? This isn't your painting. This isn't your show. This isn't your art. You don't own it. And I'm sorry you were disappointed, but you gotta take a breather. And before people assume that I just don't know what it's like to care that passionately about a film or TV show, A, I do, and B, I'm not the bad guy here. The aggressive haters are. These are the same poisonous aspects of fan culture that drove both Anakins to quit acting. That's kind of sad. Look, I know the last season wasn't perfect. I know Dani's journey to where she ended up was rushed. But we should all do ourselves a favor and not waste any more time or energy on it. Even though that's hypocritical because I just made a video about it. And I'm not talking about the memes. The GOT hate has been worth it for the memes. I think we can all agree on that. So adjust your expectations, remember you're not the writers, and don't be so f***ing dramatic. It is possible to enjoy all the things without getting so worked up. And besides, if it really makes you that unhappy, what's the point? Don't forget to hate on me in the comments and hit subscribe so you control whatever other videos we have coming out. I'll be in a lot of them so we can develop this poisonous codependent relationship where you say mean things to me on the internet and I obsessively read it. I'm okay with that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I feel like I'm just saying stuff, like it doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe Star Wars was just never a good franchise. Did we ever think of that? Maybe it just reminds you of childhood and it tricked you into believing that it's good. I'm telling them not to be a hater, but in the process, I've become the hater. Oh, the irony.